We're back. We're previewing each team division by division. Today is the NFC West. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into it. Sean, how you feeling today, buddy?
I'm doing good, bro. What up, fam? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. Up top, some people got paid.
More money being doled out. Chris Jones, like we was talking about last week, wound up getting that check.
I thought for sure he was going to play on the franchise tag this year.
It was close, but I think like teams start feeling this pressure when it gets down to that deadline, man, and like you may have a potentially disgruntled player for the whole year when you could have just paid him.
You don't want that.
Yep.
You got enough on your plate for the season. You don't want to
and then you don't know what's going to come up either. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't know who's going to be available, who's not going to be able to play.
Exactly. So he got 80 mil, right? 80 mil. Derrick Henry, the running back,
got paid. Another dude I thought was destined to play on the franchise tag this year.
Yeah, and you know how like the running backs have just been devalued all over the league, right? So like he actually got his deal. I want to say it's 25 mil guaranteed, incentives. Let's see if he can live up to it, which I honestly believe in Derrick Henry because he carried that team last year.
Oh, no doubt. You think Ryan Tannehill got him to the AFC Championship?
Yeah, no, I mean like he was good enough, but Derrick Henry was that team. And then who else? Did anybody else get the money?
Myles Garrett got paid today.
Myles Garrett,
$125 million, 100 guaranteed, 5 years.
Yeesh. Hey, but
the highest paid non-quarterback player in the NFL.
And deservedly so. Like we were actually just talking about this off the air, but arguably the second or third highest position ranking on the field.
You gotta have that pass rusher. You
have to. So very valued. And honestly, like I still think he's at that point in his career arc where you're paying him for what he's still gonna do. You know what I mean?
Right,
like he's still young enough. But funny thing, you know who didn't get paid? The dude who hit with the helmet. So like he didn't get paid. So that just goes to show you how much they value talent and how talent will carry you far. In some ways bad in some bad ways, but like regardless of what you do, man, talent will always get you another chance and get you that check. So
do you think Dak should have gotten paid today?
I think Dak should have gotten paid. I really think Dak should have gotten paid. He's done enough.
Me a number. How much do you think he should earn a year?
Considering what quarterbacks are getting paid and then the new deals that were doled out, I honestly think that he probably should have gotten paid somewhere in between maybe 32 to 35.
There was a report going around that there was a deal on the table between 33 and 35, and they just didn't. They ran out of time.
That's unfortunate, man. That's really unfortunate because like you're letting. I mean, it's probably at that point if both can somewhat agree on a number, you're probably just talking semantics, man. Like, get it done. Like, ink the paper.
What's 100,000 when millions are on the table?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a lot to us, but you know what I mean. But you're right though. You're right. Like, it's small chips. At that point. So just like get it done, and like we were just saying, like now he is gonna be thinking about that. And honestly, like if it's me. I'm going to be pissed, and, like, I will probably leave the team just to spite you as long as there's something better out there for me. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me the Redskins wouldn't scoop him up next year in free agency?
Yeah, just out of spite. And, I mean, he can play, but, like, I mean, why not take somebody from your rival if you can? You know what I mean? Like, that's simple. You know what I mean? So, I think they should have played him bottom line, but he has had some hiccups too, so I don't know. What do you think, man? What do you think about that?
I think, I mean, he's one of those. Obviously, I can't stand the Cowboys, so
me neither.
Their pain is I'm eating it up. I'm loving it. Like the fact that they didn't get a deal in time, just nom.
Oh yeah, I mean it does. It feels it's cleansing to the soul. I get you.
Yeah, I think he's truly doesn't get it done versus the big teams. He does it. He's another. If you want another Tony Romo, by all means, lock that man up for the next 5 years.
So you think that they could potentially get somebody bigger or better, even though they may be a younger quarterback, like they might have to get it in the draft?
I mean, I believe so. I think Dak Prescott's a fantastic quarterback. I think he, in the right system, he could be one of the top guys. I just don't know if him and the Cowboys equal Super Bowl wins.
Okay. I get that. So I mean, as far as like we talked about, what's going on around the league, tell the folks what we getting into today, bro. What we getting into today?
Yes, we got the NFC West today. So speaking of Super Bowl, we got the runner-ups. First up, might as well get it. We did the champs last week.
The first loser, but like still better than 15 other teams on their side.
Would you rather go to the Super Bowl and lose, or just not even make the playoffs?
Ooh, I mean, you preach to the choir with this because we ain't been to the playoffs in 12 years, my guy. So like, I probably have to say I would rather losing. Like you ain't even say playoffs. Like you hit me with the serious.
You're losing it. Like
right.
I'm still hurting from 2015. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I haven't gotten over that.
We ain't been to the playoffs since 2007. But I would honestly say I'd rather lose a Super Bowl at this point as a Bucs fan because we haven't even been to the playoffs in so long. So like that means if we lose the Super Bowl, we actually got to the playoffs, right? Like, so that's memories that I'll have. So at this point, that's what I'll take now. If this was closer to 2002 when we won it, 2002, 2003, I'd have just said not even make the playoffs because I was so like, they were on top of the world at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like we were making the playoffs every year. It wasn't even a thought, but either way.
Well, the question of the year is, can the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl?
Can the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl? Which obviously we'll detail at the end of this little segment. But just right now, just like without actually going through the team, I think that they have a squad enough where they got the horses that they might be able to do it. Like the recipe is still right for them. And I really think they have a good shot. But what we don't know is what everybody else is about to bring to the table in 2020. You know what I mean?
So, we do know who they drafted, though. I do like their Kinlaw, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic pickup for them.
Yeah, it was. I'm not as high on him as I am on Derek Brown, but he was the 1A to. I hated giving you that. I hated giving you that.
We got it on camera. Sean gave credit to a Panthers player.
I hated that, but he was the 1A to Derek Brown. So like, not only that, but the stones of two franchise Ring of Honor member, Hall of Fame should be often overlooked, Pro Bowl, All-Pro safety John Lynch, the general manager.
I knew you were going to make it about the Bucs some way, somehow.
Stole it from the Bucs. Like his old team, man. He stole it. So like he sits there, has the stones enough to say other people are coming up to get this 13th pick. You're sitting right there. Why don't you just give me something to move up one spot, you dummy? And they did it. And they now what I don't, you know what I'm saying? But like for Tampa, they got their guy, which in the end, like it really doesn't matter as long as you get your guy. But John Lynch finagles that from the Bucs by just playing poker, my guy. Like just playing poker. That's all he was doing. Yeah. Well, so he says. He says that people were calling, but we don't know. But anyway, they get Kinlaw, good defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Really was able to replace a guy that we'll talk about here in a minute, but replace DeForest Buckner, or at least you get some talent at that position coming in because you lose such a vital piece that took you so long, right? So like they lose.
I feel like every time you said something about the defense last year, Buckner was who you were talking about.
He was the one. So like you lose him, but you get Kinlaw. Okay, great. You already have a Super Bowl roster. Now you are basically putting yourself in position like we were talking about last show, supplementing the roster. They come back in round 2, get Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. Now, I know he was a guy you liked. Yeah, I know he was a guy you liked. I was a little late to the game on him, but
I don't know. I saw his tape one day, and I was just like, man, this kid can play. And he went to Arizona State. He didn't have all the hype.
Right, yeah, they don't get a lot of love, but he did have a good coach in Herm Edwards, right? So like,
getting him ready.
But watch this tape. Really, really sneaky good route runner, like great route runner. what I like is he is a smaller stature guy, but he catches the ball in traffic so well that he makes up for any lack of ideal size that he may have. Great route running only helps that. So like
can only complement Deebo Samuel, you know.
Yeah, and they get him in the did they get him in the first or the second? Did they get him in the first or the second?
They got him in the first with the 25th.
They did get him in the first. I was gonna say
they had a weird draft. They had the 2 picks in the first round and then a 6th and a 7th, and that was it.
Yeah. So and speaking of the 7th round, like they come back and get Jawan Jennings out of Tennessee in the 7th round. Now he was a guy that I follow like pretty closely. I trust what he says. He's a Tennessee fan, writes for their in some capacity, but he was standing for Jawan Jennings, okay. And so I went back, watched his tape late to the game a little bit, but like this dude's a big body receiver. He plays big.
Why did he fall to the 7th? Do you know?
So he fell to the 7th because of quote unquote, like maybe they didn't know if he loved the game as much. He kind of like
just question.
Yeah, well, sort of. His like maybe his head wasn't in it, and like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it was something along those lines.
Okay, good. Well, now he's got a chip on his shoulder too.
Right, exactly. And I think like that's the team. Like it's just going to complement them because they need receivers. So like a receiver heavy draft for them. They've put themselves in position, I think, to do very well in 2020. Kind of looking at their roster and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we get into it. Talking about their offense, big problems on the home front. Star running back is not happy. That's not ever a good combo.
No, it's not. And I don't know what they do about that because like he was a guy who took you there. He was doing it all year. Now he led
200-yard games.
Yeah, he did, and he can catch the ball. He was like the dynamic runner that you need. And they had a good running back stable, but for whatever reason they couldn't. Tevin Coleman, I believe, was injured. Jerick McKinnon, I don't know if he was injured or not, but like most
Breida was hurt quite a bit.
Breida was in and out. Now I love Matt Breida, but he's now not on the roster anymore. And then now you're toying with losing the second best back on your roster as far as the last couple of years go. So like you need a guy. Now what I will say is that they still have Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon, which with those two they form a solid stable. But
who do you give the reins to? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who's your lead back?
Exactly.
Who do you trust on those goal-line situations? Like, that's tough. If those are my two guys, I'm feeling a lot less lucky about going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a dynamic runner, you definitely need it. Now, they do. So they actually get Trent Williams, right? They get Trent Williams, in the trade or whatnot. But you also lose Joe Staley, he retired. So like
that's tough. Yeah, that's a big
what can you do?
Hole to fill.
Yeah, so like they really added to the roster, at least like by getting Trent Williams, who was disgruntled with the team in Washington. So he's a guy who's playing really well, and they kind of supplemented. They re-signed Kendrick Bourne. You lost Emmanuel Sanders. Now that's why you go receiver heavy in the draft. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just kind of depends. But I just don't know, man. I do like their offense, but I think
say they just put Kittle back there and let him run the ball.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention George Kittle yet, man. We did not mention George Kittle. And the crazy thing about it is he really is like a receiver, if you will, off the top. So
but he can do so much.
You can.
He's a great blocker. Like you would think someone of his receiving stature wouldn't be able to block, but he can block.
Yeah, and not only that, so he's an all-around tight end. But I think the X factor for them is you have all those weapons, but you also have a great offensive mind in the head coach Kyle Shanahan, who has been to big game after big game. Maybe not has not won it, but has put dynamic offenses out that are still. He's been able to do this with multiple teams: Redskins, Falcons, 49.
And you got to think he'll start winning at some point.
Well, I mean, he's been winning. He just can't get over the top. You know what I mean?
Right, I'm saying win that big one that it saluted him all these years.
Yeah, so like that, he's a guy who can scheme guys open, and I think their offense will continue to be dynamic as long as he's calling the plays, which that ain't changing anytime soon. You know what I mean? So I really like their offense, and I expect to see them do well. I'm not a huge Jimmy G fan, so I will give you that. So
I'm not a big Garoppolo fan either.
yeah.
But how do you feel about their defense? Talk about some studs on defense. That got them there last year too.
It did. So like you get Kinlaw. You have an underperforming young guy in Solomon Thomas out of Stanford.
I was a huge Solomon Thomas fan.
Right, like man, I was a huge fan of his coming out. And you know personally, like he wrecked that Carolina game in his final game in college.
I had to turn it off. I was like, I can't even watch this anymore.
Yeah. And then you got, Nick Bosa, who did his thing, man. Did his thing, right? Eric Armstead, you lose to Forrest Buckner, but guess what? You now have D Ford, who left the Chiefs, and now is, on the other side of the street. So you have ends. And not only that, but Drew, he's the third end. Like, he's the one that's coming in to spell Bosa.
I don't want to see D
right?
Ford on a rotation when he's fresh and I'm exhausted.
That's what I'm saying. So he'll be fresh. They have a rotation there. My guy plays with his hair on fire, Quan Alexander.
Your dude.
Yeah. I love Quan, man. 4th round pick. Came into the Bucks. Wasn't expected to see the field and wound up starting, and then obviously put himself in position to get a big payday from the 49ers. So
no doubt.
Was injured, but John Lynch, a great evaluator of talent, gets him here. Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers in the league. And then the back end, Sherman, Tart, Ward.
Old man Sherman still running things, man. I love it.
Still one of the highest rated corners on PFF. So still doing his thing. And he's just like, he's not like, people try to classify him as a system corner. He's just a good cornerback. Leave the dude alone, man. Like, stop being a hater. But
he's done it for multiple teams. Just let him have
it. And like looking at their defense though, honestly, they have talent, like Pro Bowl, maybe Pro Bowl level talent at 10 out of 11 starting positions on defense, in my opinion.
That's fantastic. That's crazy.
So you have an offense that's humming, rebuilt offensive line, defense that should contend. That's just a recipe for success, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I mean, they were 13-3 in 2019. You think they have any room for improvement on that? Or?
So looking at, oh my God, looking at their schedule, man,
such an easy start to the schedule.
How does that happen?
Like, welcome back.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't know how that happens, but like, I honestly, like, you come out the gate versus Arizona, at New York Jets, at New York Giants, Philadelphia, like, want to see what they're like, and then you get Miami. So like, they could start 5-0. They, maybe say even if they split with the Rams, but they take the first game, that's 6-0, and then you get New England and Seattle and Green Bay in a row. So like, they could start 6-0 and then run into some trouble, or at least more formidable teams.
I think they'll end up at like the 11-5.
Okay, all right, I got you. I just looking at it, man. Like, I think if they really start, if they start out the gate, they could get rolling, man. Like, they might get rolling. They so
could. Especially because I mean, they don't. It's not like they unleash Garoppolo to make mistakes. My man's throwing 10-yard passes all game, so he's really just a game manager. So yeah. Oh, wow. Looking at the schedule, like I was just saying, interesting note here, folks. Washington does not have a logo anymore. Yeah,
so,
they took it off.
Yeah. I just noticed that.
I saw a meme today where it was a guy from Game of Thrones, and he's wearing the Redskins color hats. He's like, a team has no name,
which is so true. It's so true, but like how on brand is that? Like what?
Right.
Like yeah, that's get a lot of likes on that one.
Well, a team that does have a name and a huge following. Up next, we got the Seattle Seahawks. What do you think about those guys?
Seattle. Let's see. So 11-5 in 2019 with a playoff berth. Wilson's still playing outstanding.
He's still Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and he'll continue to be that guy because he's the straw that stirs their drink. Him and Pete Carroll together, just they've been able to make magic. So last year, 4,110 yards, 31 TDs, and 5 picks. So
wow.
I mean,
that's all he had was 5.
That's all he had. So,
Wow.
I mean, and he threw some dimes and some passes that
no
if
doubt.
it was Jameis Winston, it probably would have been intercepted. So,
Dude, Metcalf is becoming one of my favorite players to watch.
yeah. That dude is. I mean, he's built like a brick shithouse, man. Like just that guy. Him and AJ Brown. Like you probably seen the picture circulating on the internet last year. Like So he's a guy who can just make all the catches, good route runner, big body receiver, and he's quick. So like he should be that dynamic of a receiver, and he proved it. Like even though he fell somehow in the draft after putting that kind of tape out there, but whatever. I mean,
they got Lockett, Metcalf, and Dorsett. So that's a great three-headed monster.
That is. And then
the ridiculous tight ends they have too, man.
Yeah,
they got my boy
like serviceable, and Russell Wilson's a guy who like once he scrambles out of the pocket, anybody can catch the ball, right? So like that's why he gets his tight ends involved.
That's why I was surprised that Greg Olsen went to the Seahawks because Will Dissly was having a breakout year last year.
Yeah. And then they have Wilson, right? Like
run.
they have Wilson. Is he on their team as well? I want to say he is. Luke Wilson. I want to say like Wilson.
I think he's gone now. I think they didn't re-up.
Yeah, but he was also a serviceable guy. So like it's basically just Pete Carroll, like making stars out of. They just have a good system, man.
Everyone thinks they're going to do that with that other tight end that they drafted, Colby Parkinson. Like he had a setback early on, he broke his foot. But a lot of people think he's going to be a steal of the third round.
Yeah, no. So it was Jacob Hollister that I was getting on, but that I was thinking about. But you do sign Greg Olsen, and you're right though. Like I don't know. Like I mean, he's obviously trying to come for a championship run, right? Like that's what he's doing,
and he's going to teach all these young guys how to play. Like that's what they're banking on.
Yeah, and he is that kind of guy. Like you don't have to worry about him coming in and being a diva
because he's gone.
Like
he's already signed that analyst contract.
Right? Yeah, which came down here pretty recently. It might have been today, but and then like you still. Money. I mean, they just cutting checks. It's basically like that is. It's like a farm. It's like an NFL farm from like straight from the lead to the booth, man. It's kind of crazy, but I do like their offensive line a little bit. I like Dwayne Brown and Mike Uipati. They re-sign, restructure there. But I think so what are they going to do with their running back? So they go and address the position by getting
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde. Their running backs can't stay healthy. Like they just can't stay healthy, and like I just don't understand. Like you invest heavy, especially in Rashad Penny, who has severely and grossly underperformed, and Chris Carson's a good back. They're both good backs, but they just can't stay healthy for whatever reason. I can see why they addressed it.
Penny only appeared in 10 games and only had 300 yards last year.
Yeah, I mean he's going to have to he's going to have to prove his worth here. Pretty quickly in order for them to like not be looking elsewhere or giving people other running backs like more opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely understand that. I mean, Carlos Hyde's waiting in the wings.
Yeah, he really is. And honestly, like
I'll take those spots for sure.
Right now, he is listed third on the depth chart, but I think after whatever sort of training camp they may have, he'll be the starter week 1. I think he'll be in the rotation at least. Yeah, and he should be, especially like for a team that's ready to contend. You do not have time to mess around. You know what I mean? Like you don't have time. So get it done. Get the W's early. Coast later on if that's what you want to do.
Speaking of getting it done, this defense. Still that tough Seattle defense that we've known for years.
Yeah, they are tough, but like I guess I have to address it. Like, why not re-sign Jadeveon Clowney?
They got Bruce Irvin, man. Come on.
I mean, I mean, but Bruce Irvin's a guy who like he can get it. He's not as good as he used to be, but he can get it done.
He had a tough year last year with Carolina.
Yeah. You said you tell me on that one.
Yeah, I mean exactly. Like it speaks for itself. I don't remember a lot of him.
Dang, I mean,
I feel like he sat out every other game because he was hurt. And I mean,
he's at that point in his career too.
Yeah, and also they got a big question mark. Is Quentin Dunbar going to be on the field? Well, isn't he? He's in trouble for that robbery, the armed robbery.
Yeah.
With Baker from the
that's
Giants.
right. It's not even. That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know how it's legal because now they got more evidence that he like paid the people to shut up about it.
So, like, I think the last that I had seen about it, which I completely forgot about that, man.
Yeah.
Weird 2020. What do you know?
Right. It feels like 3 years ago at this point.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, but him and the other guy, but like his lawyer, I want to say he just had some news for his lawyer. Like he's still like pleading not guilty, but we'll see how that rolls. But he's their starter, man. Like he's their starter, so they have to get somebody to step up for him.
What is it? Trey Flowers is the backup?
Yeah, he's their backup. They bring in the rookie Jordan Brooks, who I know he was a guy you liked. He's a good linebacker. He was one of the top
He's already
linebackers
gotten
in
Bobby
the draft.
Wagner comparisons that I've seen.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely coming more because that is who is going to mentor him, and Bobby Wagner is a guy who you want to be mentored by.
No
caveat, doubt. Not better than Levante David. I'm just going to stand right now. I'm standing right now. I don't know why you're doing it. Yeah, I don't know why you're doing it, but I digress. Seahawks, Bobby Wagner, great linebacker. But yeah, so you get him to mentor Jordan Brooks. Now, I think he could ascend in that system to be one of the guys who will be one of the elite linebackers if, he kind of comes in, does his thing, and kind of hits the ground running. But I would say he does need to get better at play recognition. Good run defender. He's okay in space, but if he can start recognizing plays, which comes with time. So
right, and they don't need him to be in the middle yet. You know what I mean? Wagner's got a couple more years.
Yeah, he's still got some time. So
yeah, they'll eventually need him to make that switch, but he can just relax now and be on the weak side. He'll be straight.
Yeah. So I like their defense. I'd like them a lot better if they still had Clowney. Just because I know what I'm getting out of him. Yeah. And I still feel like he's a guy who, yes, he doesn't have the sack numbers, but he's one of the best run defending defensive ends.
He's always on the quarterback's mind and the running back's mind. You know what I mean? Like Clowney's right there.
You have to account for him. So I do like their defense. I like Quandre Diggs. Bradley McDougald was another guy from the Bucs who they let go, and he was a young guy. Was probably the best safety on the roster that year. Wow. Had been, kind of working his way up, did really well. Like he was, like I said, the best safety on the roster, and Bucs doing Bucs, just let him go, and Seattle signs him, and then he's been their starter for, I want to say 3-4 years now, maybe like 3 years, somewhere around there. So it's one of those things, man. Like they have some spots, they'll be pretty strong, but the offense is going to carry this team for sure.
I got you. Well, they were 11-5 last year. Did they improve on that?
Looking at their schedule, I definitely think that they are a team. Because they're just not flashy. They just beat teams.
They
like
just
whether
win,
it's
right.
Like
they'll probably beat Dallas week 3.
Yeah.
They'll
especially
probably...
at that point, because with all the new pieces that Dallas has, you don't know what's happening with Dak. He might be disgruntled. You want to catch the good teams early, and then they have 3 good teams out of the gate. So Atlanta, New England, and Dallas, and then they get Miami and Minnesota. So
they could have a nice little run to start with.
Sure, they could. I mean, at worst, I think they come out of that honestly, against these teams, I would say they come out of that at least 500, not 500, but like 3-2 or 2-3. You know what I mean? The first 5 before their bye week. Close to 500, if not way better than that, because they're a team who just wins games. So
I don't really see anything on their schedule where I'm like, they're going to lose that game. I think they split with the Niners like they usually do. I think the Rams or the Cardinals catch them a game, but that's about it.
Oh, okay, you think the Cardinals got them one game?
I think either the Rams or the Cardinals will steal one from them.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna be real honest with you, man. They probably could, because Arizona, I think, could be sneaky. They're going to win games. It's just the question of who they're going to win against, right? They're not gonna go over or anything. So they're getting some wins. Always a little harder / somewhat easier because of they're in your division, so you know what you're getting into. Right. But getting back to my point, man, whatever they are at after their November 19th game against Arizona, so they play Arizona twice in 5 weeks, right? Yeah. But after that, after that you get Philadelphia. So after the November 30th game against Philadelphia, you get New York Giants, New York Jets, and Washington. Now, whatever they are at, they are going to be expected to win those 3 games, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So let's just give it to them. That's 3 W's right there. So if you're at let's say you're at 7-3, right? Now you're at 10-3, contending for a number 1 seed. You know what I mean? So it's just that is a great stretch for them, and then they finish up with 2 division opponents. So like, I think they're definitely going to the playoffs, but what their seeding will be, I'm not quite sure.
Right. It all depends on who wins those critical San Fran, Seattle games.
Yeah. The division is going to be determinant, and I'm not. I do, it's weird. I feel like I'm describing like a girl that I was dating who is now like I'm trying to let down easy, but like I do like Arizona, but like just not like that. You know what I mean? So
let's talk about Arizona. So let's talk about why you like them, but not like that. Getting in Arizona, like weirdly enough, I was watching some Cardinals tape today, and Kyler can make some throws, man, and like he can escape some tough situations too.
Yeah, he can, and like. I guess I was just one of those guys. I mean, being a short guy, you think I would stand for the dude, but like, I don't know, man. I just can't get past how small he is, and like, but he is shifty. Are you hating
on him because his name's Kyler?
It's
not Kyle, it's Kyler.
It's right. It's a weird name. It's a weird name. But like, whatever. It's kind of a. It's a football name, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? He sounds like he plays some type of sport. You know what I mean? Which he was also like a baseball player too, right? Like he got drafted.
Yeah. No, I mean he left really good money on the table to play football.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's gonna wind up recouping that money and endorsements.
Oh yeah, I mean, he already has.
He's a quarterback. Yeah, so but what I will say is, Arizona, I do like Cliff Kingsbury. Kind of looking at them, I just don't know, man. You do have Kendrick. You do have Kenyon Drake, right?
Played great for him last year.
He did. He came in and like did work on Monday Night Football and was their best running back, since. I mean, over David Johnson, who like, I don't know if he gets it back, but
well, I mean, how awesome do you feel if you turn David Johnson into DeAndre Hopkins?
You feel great because DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the league. You know what I mean? So like, in my opinion,
and I think Christian Kirk's getting up there. Like he's figured it out in the slot. And then you got one of the greatest of all time on the other side. Yeah, so now I'm not going to lie. I don't know what you get out of Larry Fitzgerald, but Christian Kirk burned the Bucs. Like, he burned the Bucs last year, and he is an underrated guy. Hopefully he continues to ascend. Well, last year Fitzgerald had 800 yards off 75 catches, and Kirk had 68 catches for 709 yards. So they were right there. Okay, so I mean that's a lot of volume for Christian Kirk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like I would only imagine that gets better in year 2. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would only imagine that gets better. So, and maybe if Larry got 800 with that offense last year, then he's probably gonna inch closer to 1,000 with DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. I mean, yeah, DeAndre's gonna have all the double team. Yeah. And I mean, they don't have Max Williams, their tight end's no slouch too. So I mean, I think that opens up for the whole rest of the team. Yeah. And then before we get to the talking about the draft, you get Isaiah Simmons. We will get to the defense in a minute, but they come back. Get into the offense. They come back in round 2 and get Josh Jones, the consensus number 5 offensive tackle. Now we talked about how deep this draft was in offensive tackle talent, right? We talk about that. So he was the consensus fifth guy. Nobody knew how the first 4 were going to shake out, right? So he was a guy who was talked about maybe going as high as 14 to the Buccaneers because they needed a lineman that bad, and the draft was so deep in offensive tackle talent. So let's not sleep on Josh Jones. That's crazy. Yeah, so let's not sleep on Josh Jones. He is a guy who can get it done, and he's going to start right next to J.R. Sweezy, who great name, fantastic name. It really is. It really is. I mean, it's a rap name. You could do anything with that name, to be honest with you, and people would probably think you were a pro at it. Right. But he was a guy who had back issues when he was with the Bucs, like sat wearing a floppy hat for like 2 years, right? No. And then they let him go, and then he goes back to Seattle. Is a Pro Bowl alternate that year, and then makes his way over to Arizona within the division. So hopefully he can still kind of give you that good starter at the guard spot. You know what I mean? So their offense overall, it's good in spots, but I think they're going to be a receiver led team. Like they're going to be a pass first offense for sure. They live and die by where Kyler takes them. I feel like.
Yeah. So what do you get out of him? I'm not sure, but like I just hope to see some spectacular football from him. To be honest with you, so it's just he makes a great highlight.
This division has me excited, man, because I think they're going to be just some great interdivisional games.
Yeah, and you know what? Because of the way, just kind of sidetracking here, but the way that 2020 has gone, I really hope that most markets markets when they're having football games, that they double up. CBS and Fox just give you a 1 o'clock game and a 4 o'clock game every Sunday.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes like you'll get bull riding or whatever the local TV station plays at 4 o'clock or whatever. Man, cut all that out, man. Just give us football at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock.
Football, man.
On both channels. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I want. So get it done, NFL. You can do it. You just don't want to.
You got my vote, man. All right, take it easy.
Yeah. I mean, like, so. Anyway, getting back to the Arizona Cardinals, their defense now.
Yeah, how do you feel about this defense? They got Isaiah Simmons, the Swiss Army knife of defenders.
Yes,
Patrick Peterson's still there.
He is.
Chandler Jones is still there.
Yeah, and now Pat P missed some time, but now he's coming back, and I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder to prove he's still the elite corner.
Well, I think he's going to play better because the team's better. I think he got down being stuck on a terrible Arizona team for years, and he didn't play to his ability. Yeah. Now he's got DeAndre Hopkins pushing him in practice every day.
Yeah, and there was big trade talk. I mean, there was big trade talk about him.
He wanted out.
Yeah, and so he stays. But you get Isaiah Simmons now. Personally that the Carolina Panthers were as good as penciling him in at 7.
He was done as good as gone to us.
Yeah. So, and it makes sense because, we'll get to the Panthers a little bit later on, but they lost a lot on their defense. So, being that Isaiah Simmons can play so many different positions, it just seemed like a natural fit. Like, you can put him at linebacker, you can put him at safety, you can actually rush the passer with him too. So, is a guy that can do all of that. But Arizona, they take Derek Brown. They wound up getting Isaiah Simmons. Now, it makes sense for Arizona because they actually have a track record at picking hybrid guys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hassan Reddick, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker was a guy who could play both safety spots. And just like people before him, like who am I thinking about? Deion Buchanan. I mean, they made him a first round pick, and he's a guy who has bounced around the league, but he's a guy who has bounced around the league and still continues to play because he has so many positions that he can play, right? Like he's a hybrid guy. So they have a track record there. Pat P, Chandler Jones, one of the elite pass rushers. Jordan Phillips, you get. I like the back end. Jalen Thompson, not really high on, but I love Buda Baker out of Washington. Love that dude. I really wanted him to come to Tampa. And Byron Murphy I love watching that dude play. I really do. So,
they went 5-10 last year. Do you think this team gets it done better than more than 5 wins?
More than 5 wins. All right, so let's check their schedule.
This division has a pretty easy going at it. They got San Fran first game, that's tough, but then they got the artists formerly known as the Redskins.
Right.
The Lions, Panthers, Jets. Like, come on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, honestly, man, if they get rolling, I'm looking at their schedule too. So you get San Fran, like let's just chalk that up as a loss because San Fran is they're gonna wallop them first game, and it's at San Fran too. Oh yeah, that's a wrap. But after that, you get Washington, Detroit, Carolina. What are you getting from Carolina this year? And then at the New York Jets. Now, let's say they get on a roll, right, Drew? Let's say they get on a roll and go 4-1. Now, what does that do to a young team who doesn't know, like they were bad last year, but doesn't know that they're not supposed to be good, right? Like
that gives them all the confidence in the world.
Exactly. So like you now come up against Dallas.
God, I hope they upset Dallas on Monday night.
On Monday night too.
Yeah,
that's a Monday night game.
Walk in with a little bit of swagger. Walk in with a little bit of confidence.
That could be very dangerous for Dallas. And then they also have Miami on the schedule. So I mean they do play some bum teams. But at the same time, I think if they come out the gate, you'll know what you're gonna get with them by the time they get to that Dallas game, right? Because if they can't beat those bad teams, then I can't see them making a run down the stretch without being able to beat bad teams, right? Like I can't see that. Yeah. So, but I don't. Just to put it frank, I don't think they they get past last place in the division. Just because I think the other teams in the division are better and they're gonna play a lot of the same teams. So I probably have to give them.
I think they'll do like 7-9, somewhere in there.
Okay, so that's a bump though.
Yeah, I think they'll be better. Like I mean, I think you don't add Hopkins to the team and not gain at least 2 wins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and hopefully Kyler takes that step in year 2.
It all depends. Yeah, it all depends on where he falls this year.
Yeah. So I think he'll definitely do better, but that leaves one team, Drew.
We got one team, the LA Rams.
Post
Gurley years, 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. How are they feeling in LA?
Well, they get hard knocks.
Yeah. I mean, you lost Gurley, but you picked up Cam Akers in the draft. That's got to account for something. Yeah. You know, they got
you lose
Jefferson.
Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Cam Akers and Van Jefferson.
Two really good players. Now, like let's not mince words here. Cam Akers, damn good running back.
Dude, he's a stud. He was the only good player on Florida State the last few years.
Yeah, and their offensive line was historically bad. They were historically bad, and you're right, he was the best of the bad bunch. Was a guy who what the kind of crazy thing about it is he still shined on tape, right? Yeah. He still shined on tape, and then obviously he did enough work to get the invite to the combine, crushes the combine, and really makes an ascension after that. But you get Cam Akers, now also let's not mince words, Van Jefferson, pro pedigree, right? This is a guy who route running, catching, all of
hands.
that.
He's got hands.
He's got crazy hands. So this is a dude who, especially now you lose Brandon Cooks, but you don't know what you get out of a rookie, especially in this stunted, weird off season. But honestly, I think the pro pedigree helps him, right? Like that helps you because the curve shouldn't be steep.
Even if he doesn't produce right away, they have 2 1,100-yard receivers coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They got Kupp and
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so he's really number 3, which is great for a rookie. But Cooper Kupp, he's a good receiver. Like I have to give it to him.
He's tough, man. He's tough. Like you could throw that man into the goalpost and he'd still catch the ball.
Yeah. I mean, now he's a guy like Steve Smith, like your guy, love, right?
Yeah.
But like, Drew, am I just being a hater on Cooper Kupp? Like, is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, it sounds like it, just a little bit.
Okay,
Like,
I didn't know
if he just had the one good year, I'd be like, all right, I agree. But he's consistent.
Yeah, but I do trust Steve Smith's word. And Robert Woods was a guy who took fantasy teams over the top.
He's been in the shadow for so many years. Like he was in the shadow in Buffalo.
Yep.
And now he's just getting his time to shine, and I think he's going to shine even more without Cooks. So I think, because I mean, the question is, Kupp's probably not going to stay healthy the whole season. So there might be games where they have to go without him.
Well, yeah, and you're right, because he's a guy, he gets a lot of volume, so that kind of volume, you hope a guy can stay healthy. But Josh Reynolds is also a guy who, they run 3 receiver sets, so they actually have him listed as a starter with Van Jefferson being the 4th receiver. Now, Cam Akers, getting back to Cam Akers, he's going to start. Let's not, he's going to start.
I was just about to say a little fun fact. The entire Los Angeles Rams team last year had 1,499 rushing yards. That's it.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's pretty. I feel like. You go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Henderson and Brown, the 2 guys they're bringing back. Henderson had 147 yards.
Right.
And Brown had 255.
Yeah. So Cam Akers getting that job. So
yeah.
Now sneaky good tight end group too though.
Higbee's great, and Everett was shining before he came along.
Yep, and Everett was a guy who he torched the Bucks, and of course, you'll notice a theme here. Like I said earlier, but I will notice
for sure.
Yes, I can. It's burned into my retinas, man. But their offensive line did not protect very well last year, especially after
did a lot of running away. That was the rushing yards.
Yeah.
Was old Goff running away.
Right, yeah. So they had, but they, you can still be a good run blocking team and just not pass block well. It's just, it could be one of those things. But with those receiving weapons, and then with Cam Akers, who's also a good catcher of the football out of the backfield, I think the offense could be sneaky good, especially with, let's mention Sean McVay, a good offensive mind. I do think the league has kind of figured him out a little bit, but maybe he's a guy who just needed more time to make some tweaks or whatnot. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, hopefully not a Chip Kelly waiting in the wings there.
Yeah, you would hope not. And I mean, God, Drew, I think he's younger than us.
Yeah, he is. He's like 33.
So he's got time to figure it out.
Oh right? Yeah, that's why I hate him so much.
But no, I'm not a big fan of Jared Goff, but kind of moving along.
Yeah, are you a fan of this defense? That's the question.
I'm a fan of Aaron Donald.
It's the Donald and Ramsey show.
It really is. Now, thinking about this, okay, if it goes bad, and asking, right, if it goes bad, does Ramsey start mouthing off again?
Oh, no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt. He's going to want to be on a winning team.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't be that guy, though, time after time after time.
He's trying to be that guy.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. But so Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, a guy who was a first-round pick a couple years ago, drastically underperformed, which is why he's not with the Chicago Bears anymore. What do you get from him? Taylor Rapp, the safety out of Washington, good player. So other than those guys, okay, so let's look at the defensive line. You have Aaron Donald.
Brockers is
so
good
Brockers and Ashawn Robinson, solid but not great.
No, yeah. Brockers have those years at Atlanta? Is that where he came from?
Yeah. Brockers. No, he's been with the Rams for a while.
Oh yeah,
he's been with the Rams for a while.
With St. Louis. Okay, now I'm thinking of
and Ashawn Robinson is I want to say they drafted him out of Alabama. I want to say, but consolation prize, they have the best punter in the league, so that helps. But no, I'd have to look. Let's look at their schedule. Let's look at their schedule to see
they
what
went
we might
9-7 last year.
I forgot that. I really did.
They had
a
major step back last year. They didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, at 9-7, but and that's how you know how jaded
Which they
I
would
am.
have. I think they would have been the 7th team in the NFC.
So they would have gotten in had the rules been changed. Yeah. Okay. But that's how I was gonna say. That's how you know how jaded I am, because 9-7 to me is oh Lord, let's get some playoff Super Bowl
9-7 out of my Panthers
tickets
this year, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, right. So that's how jaded I am. But they go 9-7. Honestly, they seemed like a mediocre team last year, but they still went 9-7. So looking at their schedule, they do have some cupcakes on there. I think this is a team this is talking about Arizona getting wins. I think this is a team Arizona gets a win over, division rival. Now they also face Miami, they face Chicago, they face Washington and New York. So they don't have a bye week until week 9. So I think they could be 4-4, by the bye week.
If it does help you, they did go 3-3 in the division last year.
Okay, so straight down the middle. Okay, straight down the middle. Okay. So that
and
does
surprisingly,
help.
So did the Seahawks. They went 3-3 last year.
Huh. Okay. I mean, it's a tough division, and like I said, you always are. You're gonna be. You just know your division rivals so much that you really kind of have to throw conventional wisdom out the window sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just see more mediocrity for them, man. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Well, give me a rundown of the NFC West. Who you got? Who's winning the thing?
So
what's the standings?
I'm taking the Niners.
Yep. Okay.
After that, I think I'm going with the Seahawks again.
Yep.
And then I'll take the Rams and the Cardinals. So I think it stays the same. To be honest with you, I think it stays the same.
I'll give you that, but I'll flip flop just because I feel like they do it every other year. I'm going Seahawks have a better record this year.
Ooh.
By a game. Maybe they're 12-4 and the San Fran's 11-5.
Okay. Well, I can see that. I can definitely see that, especially if for some unknown reason, let's say Seattle sweeps them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they sweep San Fran, then they clearly are going to be the top team.
And I feel like they're pissed off from last year. I don't think they like being number 2 in that division.
Yeah, which they should be. I mean, because they've been the class of that division for quite some time now.
Right.
You know, even winning a Super Bowl. So I could really see them having a chip on their shoulder. And quick aside, how is Pete Carroll 68? That guy's a silver fox, man. Like,
dude's 28. Like, get out of
he
here.
really
He's in
is.
better
Like,
shape than I'll ever be.
If I were a single man, I would roll dog with that dude so quick.
Oh, no doubt. I'd love to tear up the club with Pete Carroll.
Oh yeah, and he sneakily probably got some funky moves too. Like, to be completely
no doubt.
honest with you, so
that man, and he probably doesn't drink. He probably just pounds Red Bulls all night so he can drive you home.
Or he might he might pull a Chad Ochocinco, but doesn't drink, but always has juice in his hand. So I got juice. You think it's a drink, you know what I'm saying? And you won't question it in that kind of scenario. But I don't know, man. I think it stays the same. I'm gonna watch this division really closely to see if your prediction plays out, though.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited about it. I mean, either way, we get good football. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So,
Sean, what are we doing next? We did the NFC West. We did the AFC West. What are we doing next?
I think, Drew, we give the people what they want. Much to the chagrin of our DMs, but I think we do NFC East, bro. I think we do NFC East.
The controversy. We're doing the controversial conference. All right.
Yeah, and you know it. And as soon as we get something wrong, fire.
Oh, I got Giants
Twitter
fans waiting to tear me apart for this. It's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to Chris Mara.
We're
coming for your Giants, man.
Yeah. So, NFC East next week. We'll see how that shakes out. A lot to talk about there. With Washington, Dak, Dallas,
Washington,
their
names.
new, their rookie wide receiver who people are praising. And didn't they give their rookie wide receiver 88?
Yeah.
Why don't they just retire Michael Irvin's number? Did they retire his number? Or did they brought it back or something?
Irvin gave his blessing. I don't know.
He should stop doing that. He should really stop doing that.
Where can we find you on social media?
So find me at the Kid Suds on Twitter. Always available. So hit me up. I am a person who responds and loves to kind of get into it with the people on Twitter. Just talking. Keep it kosher, man. We can go all day. So that's pretty much that at the Kid Suds. And also shout to at Nickel and Dime football on Instagram. So we need to get that page going and
check that out. Follow
look
that.
for some more content there. So
I'm doing my best to keep up with football news every day in our stories. I'm trying to put it out there as soon as it drops. Follow me on Instagram at Laugh with Harrison. Hit that subscribe button while you're here. We'll see you next week.